All right, welcome everyone. It's wonderful for you to join us today. I'm Troy Seidel. I'm the Vice President for Research and Toxicology with Humane Society International. Laura, can you move to the next slide, please? So today we would like to give an overview both of the Humane Society International, our program on biologicals, and critically to introduce the new project that we will be leading on the promotion of the implementation plans for the replacement of animal testing for human vaccines. This will probably take about 20-25 minutes, and then we will open the floor for the remainder of the meeting for your questions and discussion. So for those who are unfamiliar with HSI and the Research and Toxicology Department, we are a public policy NGO driven by science. So we are very much grounded in regulatory expertise, people who are joining us from the regulated industry itself, biomedical scientists, as well as those who have government and corporate relations, public advocacy, and science communications expertise. So we work very cooperatively with the regulated industry, with the health authorities, lawmakers, funding bodies, biomedical scientists, and other key stakeholders to achieve lasting change. We don't simply agitate for its own sake. And HSI and our program are on the ground working in more than 50 key economies. Our real modus operandi is building partnerships for progress. We operate very much through a collaborative lens. And within our program, we really have 6 key objectives within the buckets of regulatory driven animal use, as well as the pure science, which is funding driven. But at the end of the day, we need the tools for change. We need better solutions for everyone to benefit from. So increasing, the science funding for human-centric non-animal technologies is a critical piece of our activities. We need to build not only the capability to use them, but also the confidence in both animal-free safety assessment as well as the human-based research design in the biomedical sphere. We're working to accelerate the regulatory acceptance as well as the alignment between authorities worldwide in the use of these animal-free approaches. This will be a major theme for today's conversation. And promoting the objective tools to evaluate the validity and the translational value of models for human biology and disease. This is within our biomedical work stream, but we also have these legacy testing methods within the regulatory space that are creating irritants for the industry as well as regulators. It's easy to get them on the books. It's difficult to get them off. So working together to promote some of this change, recognizing that there's an overarching animal reliance bias within the publication sphere that continues to drive this pipeline of the status quo. And lastly, but certainly not least, modernizing laws and regulations to lay the foundation for a fundamental paradigm shift. And this does not happen overnight, but that incremental change towards what we believe and we hope is everyone's long-term goal of moving away from animals entirely. One of the compositions that we have for working with industry and other stakeholders is called AFSA. It's the Animal Free Safety Assessment Collaboration. This was launched in 2019, and AFSA's objective is to work collectively, collaboratively to accelerate the global adoption of a species-relevant approach to safety assessment. This is for human health as well as environmental toxicology, as well as efficacy testing in the medicinal sector to better protect human health and our planet and hasten the replacement of animal testing. At the moment, AFSA operates within 3 work streams, which include the cosmetics and consumer products industry, the chemical industry, which is supplying ingredients to quite a few others, and the medicines and biological sectors. I'll just give you a snapshot of some of the current AFSA members. We collaborate with a wide range of organizations above and beyond the logos you're seeing on this slide, but these are the ones who've signed formal collaboration agreements with HSI. And we really appreciate those of you who are on the call today. So I will turn over now to Laura, who is our project consultant and who I know needs no introduction. So Laura, over to you.
Thank you, Troy. So my role for now is really to guide through the activities that the HSI Biological Group has been doing since the last 3 years. So as you all know, the specificity of the biological products is still that in many situations, especially for the legacy ones, animal testing is requested for each batch of product in many countries if those are not accepting the batch release data from the main countries. And we would like to make sure that this is going to change in the next future. We would like to make sure that what has been the major changes in the production quality control understanding of the new products is going to be applicable also for the old ones. So we really want to shift the paradigm in terms of the testing based on new innovative approaches. And that's actually the main goal of this group. The idea is really to make sure that the focus is going to be on the replacement and the deletion from the regulatory frameworks of a specific test. You might know the work that has been done so far on the deletion of the abnormal toxicity test and target animal batch safety test. The organization is also working in order to change the parogenicity testing, so switching away from the rabbit-based test, using, for example, the monocyte activation test, and in terms of the bacterial endotoxin test, to promote the use of the recombinant assay instead of the horseshoe crab blood-based. And what is actually going to be added to the portfolio is about the potency test. This is something that's it's very important because it gives us it led us to the framework of the new project that HSI is going to start, and I'm actually going to dig in a little bit into this project. So the idea is really to make sure that we are going to accelerate the implementation and the regulatory acceptance of non-animal approaches for the human vaccines, especially in the batch release testing area, with a specific focus on the developing countries. We would like to make sure to advance the dialogue towards the regulatory alignment. At the same time, we would like to make sure that we are able to generate local competencies, sharing direct experience, and also making sure that all the stakeholders feel comfortable and confident to make this change. And the approach that we would like to use in this project is really to create stakeholder or country-specific implementation plans, and I will get into the details later, or roadmaps, in order to make sure that those stakeholders or countries are going to consider to include non-animal testing opportunities in the different regulation or pharmacopoeias, but also to make sure that the main actors, so also the pharmaceutical companies, are also going to implement those opportunities in their routine quality control routine testing. And why now? You are all here because you are familiar with all the activities that has been carried out in the last, I would say, between 20 and 15 years. And we can definitely say now that we are a global community of engaged experts and interested parties. And this is something that has been increased over the last few years in terms of the different international collaboration and projects that have been started, initiated, and some of them ended quite successfully. So we would like to make sure that we are all working together in order to really contribute to the still remaining challenges for the implementation and the regulatory acceptance of those methodologies. What is also very important is that we have now, we can say, a scientific and technical expertise that has been gained, again, thanks to the many projects and collaboration that has been going on, and the VAC2VAC project that has recently ended. It really confirms the amount of data experience that has been created through that project. But in addition to that, there are all the DQM BSP projects that are still ongoing, and they might start also very soon as a results of the VAC2VAC activities, the experience also that DC Women had very recently with also an international collaboration for the assessment of serological methods. There are all the activities that are ongoing within the polio reality, so to switch from the narrow virulence test with something that is completely fully in vitro. We have the expertise that is coming up in terms of the adventitious virus, moving from the animal-based to the next generation sequencing use. So again, full in vitro opportunities. So we really want to make sure that all the results of these activities, some of them still ongoing, are going to become more broadly aware, not only understood, but also making sure that they are really going to concretely support the discussion of every stakeholders that is going to participate to this project. Last but not least, what we also have been seeing that is also very critical is that there is a regulatory and policy readiness now compared to just also very few years ago. We all know about the efforts that NCTRs is doing together with WHO in order to include triage opportunities into the technical report series and making sure that those opportunities are also going to be taken up at the country level. We have been seeing that many authorities have been started to introduce changes into their legislation, regulation, or pharmacopoeias. So we really see that something has changed, and we really want to make sure that we make not the final push, often, because probably there will be still a lot of work to do, but the goal of this project is really to make sure that all the stakeholders that are going to participate are really going to get ready for the remaining activities that are needed in order to make sure that the switch from an in vivo based batch release testing is going to be completed in the next few years. So the project pillars, sorry, it's very wordy, but I believe that it's important for you to understand from where we start. So awareness is the first point. So we really want to make sure that there is an increased knowledge about and the opportunities for the first-hand experience of the newly developed methods, and also about the ones that are still in development, and also making sure that where there is the case for the deletion of obsolete tests, those are really taken seriously, and the reasons why those changes can happen are understood from a technical perspective. We would like to increase the local international business opportunities to secure a sustainable industry and regulatory ecosystem where raw materials, reagents, equipment are available and affordable, because this is also part of the big complexity of using new methodologies. We would like to make sure that we're going to support the strength of the local regulatory capacity, understanding and acceptance of the newly developed methods, so that we are going really to talk about the adoption, empowering the local regulatory authorities with the first-hand experience of change, and fostering a mindset of trust in innovation and the local capabilities, which is also something that has been discussed a lot in the last years, really to move from a fear-based approach to create confidence into this type of innovative opportunities. And then we really want to make sure that we facilitate the implementation of those approaches, not only within the vaccine manufacturers, but also at the level of the national control laboratories and the relevant regulatory bodies. We would like to make sure that this is going to even further increase the collaboration and dialogue on the regulatory alignment, and in order to improve timely and affordable access to life-saving vaccines. This is something that is really very important, and we have been seeing the importance of it also during the COVID pandemic. And we would like also at the end to being able to have impact in terms of public health, making sure that those changes are going to reduce the cost of the products, and making sure that, again, access is facilitated, because we can definitely reduce the lead time for the batch release testing. All these concepts, I'm pretty sure that you are all familiar with that, but the project really aims to make all these pillars the base of all the discussion and the work that we are going to do within the project. This is just an example for you to understand that we really would like to have a global approach. We would and focusing on all the legacy vaccines that in some countries are still or almost everywhere, depending on what type of product, are still heavily reliant on animal-based testing. So the idea is really to make sure that we are going to discuss with all the interested stakeholders in understanding which of their legacy vaccines that are producing or releasing in their countries can be part of the project, and understand this, taking 1, 2, or even all the legacy vaccines, understanding exactly how many of the existing opportunities can be taken into consideration for future implementation, understand based on the type of vaccines, based on the type of replacement or deletion opportunities, what kind of steps needs to be done, and really to make sure that there is a concrete planning about what needs to be in place for both regulatory authorities and manufacturers in order to switch to these new opportunities as soon as possible. So the geographical scope, we would love actually to work with every country in the world, but as you can imagine, we have 3 years and an incredible amount of stakeholders. So our primary focus are going to be Brazil, India, China, South Korea, Indonesia, but we would like also very much to contribute and to work together with stakeholders from Mexico, Argentina, Thailand, South Africa. But then we would like very much to hear from others, stakeholders from other countries, if they are really willing to collaborate with us and be part of the activities. As I'm going to explain to you very soon, everything that this project is going to create, and all the discussions and the challenges and the solutions that we will be able to discuss at the local level in those countries, it will be made available to everyone. So we want to make sure that if there is an issue in one country and there is a specific solution for that one, that solution can be analyzed also by the others. So the idea is really to have the full transparency between the stakeholders and between the different discussion whenever possible, of course, in order to make sure that every stakeholder can learn from each other. So here in a snapshot, just to it's an idea about the type of goals and timelines that we would like to have. So we would like to establish an international project steering committee, hopefully as soon as possible this year, making sure to have at least 3 webinars that are going to deploy as many technical knowledge possible, again, as soon as possible this year. And the idea is to making sure to have regional ones, because what is key for us is to reach as many stakeholders as possible, making sure that the materials and the webinars are going to be translated in different languages, really to remove any barriers in terms of understanding about the technical aspects of the opportunities. We do like also to make sure to organize some local face-to-face meeting, depending on how many working groups and where we will be able to organize this year. We would like really to facilitate face-to-face exchange, as we are all seeing online meetings works very well, but when we really need to go and work on some technical details or really on some specific complexity, we see that the opportunities to meet face-to-face is probably a very good one. So we will try to have that as well by this year. And the idea is then to run the project organizing a country or stakeholder specific meetings and discussion for the next 2.5 years, 3. And making sure, as I told you, to publish reports about the status of the discussion, the challenges and the solution found in the different vaccines areas or alternative methods opportunities or deletion opportunities. And then the final goal of this project is really to try to have at least 5 implementation plans. So making sure that from the countries and stakeholders from those countries, they are really going to have their own implementation plan. That is going to be their guide in order to make sure that in a limited amount of time, hopefully in the next 5 years, all the barriers and the solution are going to be implemented, and then we can really see changes at the level of the batch release testing within the manufacturers, and at the same time having the regulatory authorities to being able to take up these alternative methods within their own pharmacopoeias or regulations. We would like also to have a final conference at the end of this 3 years project, really to make sure to exchange again the concrete experience that those countries or stakeholders had, and also to make sure to understand exactly what are the next steps. As you know, you are all familiar with all these international collaborative studies or projects, and the VAC2VAC again, it's a very concrete case. Working on the optimization of a methodology or on the validation, it's something that requires time. We do not have the ambition within this project to have validation activities, because it's something that we really hope that is going to be to come up as additional activities and projects once the implementation plans are clear in the mind of the different stakeholders that would like to move ahead with the implementation of those opportunities. So we just really want to make sure that we give the theoretical framework and the practical access to expertise and experience through this project. So how we intend to reach our goals? As I already mentioned to you, we would like to have an international steering committee that is really going to provide guidance to the implementation of the local strategy, including the establishment and the support of local working groups, so just to making sure that whenever a working group decided to focus, for example, on tetanus and diphtheria, we will making sure that if the discussion at the local level is having issue in understanding about the validation or about the assays that are available and developed for tetanus and diphtheria, and there are maybe some technical challenge, the International Steering Committee can really provide some guidance and explaining the way that perhaps those technical difficulties can be overcome. Similarly, from a regulatory perspective, if there are issues or some kind of mechanism that needs to become a little bit more clear, the experience of the International Steering Committee can be shared and with the regulatory stakeholders of the specific countries that are curious or needs to be to have more clarification on the way they should taking up the change at the regulatory level. As I mentioned to you, the webinar will make sure to provide and to disseminate the latest information, technical and scientific information about deletion opportunities and replacement ones, and then we would like to work locally through either establishing working groups or to making sure that we have an open dialogue with all the key stakeholders at the country levels. For us, the stakeholders are all within the manufacturing area, but also every other company that is within the business and the supply chain that is going to perhaps support the local businesses in order to get all the critical reagents or all the key equipment that is needed at the local level. We have been seeing sometimes that there are some difficulties in some countries to get the materials that is needed. So we will want really to facilitate through local discussion also within this type of stakeholders. Of course, we would like to invite all the regulatory agency authorities and national control laboratories to be part also of this type of discussion, and anyone also within the academia and research, local research field to be part of this discussion, because there is still a lot of work to do in terms of methods development. So we really want to have all the key stakeholders to be part of these discussions and activities. A fundamental piece of the work and the discussions is going to be our implementation plan template. We are going to develop and we will share the template also with the International Steering Committee, where the template is going to be really a guiding map for the local discussion, covering everything that is needed in order to understand what is needed to be in place for methods implementation, validation, and acceptance by the authorities. So this is going to be developed and is going to be used as a guide for all the discussion that is going to happen at the local level. As I mentioned to you, reports for us is going to be key because we really want to make sure that every single discussion that can be useful for everyone in every country is going to be accessible, available, and translated for everyone to review, to check, and really to make sure that is really going to use by everyone in order to facilitate the local discussion. Then, as I said, the final conference will make sure to present all the discussion, present the implementation plans, and allow all the stakeholders perhaps to get together and find the opportunities to discuss about a new international collaborative study or different other projects that will also need to be carried out in order to make sure that the implementation is really going to happen. So for us, why we would like you to participate to the project, because it's an opportunity to interact at the global level in a global change and be part of the international and local discussions. You are all experts. You have been all experiencing the complexity of methods, development, validation, and acceptance. We want really to make sure that you are really going to contribute with your experience and also with the issue, but also the solution that you might have found within your specific organization. And it's important for us to have you on board because you are the experts. And we want to make sure that the access to the expertise is going to have no barriers. So we will offer again, the direct connection with experts, webinars, opportunities, ad hoc meetings, making sure that all the available documentation is available for all of you that you wish to participate as a country-specific stakeholders. So we would like really to invite you to participate to this project, either at the local or the global level. And what we are asking you is to participate to calls, to meetings, if you are an expert in a specific methodology because you have been developing it, implementing it, and validating it. We would like you to be part of our webinars. And the way we are actually going to ask you is really to participate as with your in-kind contribution in these things. We don't have a budget to pay for methods development and validation. As I said, this is really a planning exercise. So we really hope that you can be available with your own internal resources and sharing everything that you can for the project. So how we want you to participate. So if you are an expert both in method development, optimization, validation, regulatory affairs or policy development, review of the if you have been part of reviewing methodology and changing your own local regulations, we would like very much you to be part of our international steering committee. If you are a stakeholder from one of the countries that we listed, but even if you are in a country that is not listed, but you really have a strong interest in participating, we would like you to be part of our local working groups on meetings, opportunities. So we invite everyone from the industry field, the regulatory agencies, national control laboratories, academia, research organization to participate at the local level discussion and the development of the local implementation plans. So you don't have to raise your hands today and now. For us, it's important to making sure that you reach out to me and Troy in the next few weeks, so that we can start to put together the list of the interested people and stakeholders, so that we can start to plan all the different activities of the International Steering Committee, the webinars, and also the activities at the local level. So with this, I really thank you very much for your time.